Hi friends, going on to, I can't believe it's part 6 only, and I'm only about 25 pages in to my audio reading with commentary of Fiona Barnett's book, Eyes Wide Open. And on this, the day after the elections in America, with all the drama and rubbish going on about Biden's won and, you know, the deep state stealing votes and just massive fraud and corruption. This book is really pertinent in this time, so I'll try and be a bit more timely, and I'll share the page numbers. I wonder, will I actually go and share the page? Yeah, I think I'll go share screen because I'm going to share the page numbers because otherwise it's hard to know where I left off. I left off a bit suddenly with visitors the last time. So note to self, hang on, where are we? Yeah, we're starting at page 29. And we got interrupted here, so I'll just recap here. We're just finishing up on the Dutroux paedophile ring in Belgium, where it was an elite global, but involved the Belgian royals and politicians, judges, solicitors, and so on. So we'll carry on from here. So I'll just recap the first few sentences. The Belgian government subsequently covered up the true nature of the Dutroux affair. Evidence disappeared, numerous suspects were never investigated, and over 20 key witnesses were murdered. This is like only in the 90s, guys. One witness was poisoned and his wife incinerated in her bed. No VIPs were charged, and a few low-level scapegoats were prosecuted, including Marc Dutroux and his wife, who received lengthy sentences, but they got out much earlier, for starving 2 8-year-old girls to death in their cellar. It was just devastating. They went to jail knowing they'd left 2 8-year-olds in the cellar. And if they had just told a prison guard or anybody, those children could have been rescued. It's just devastating. RTBF, a government-owned TV station, campaigned, quote, to prove that Dutroux was an isolated pervert, kidnapping girls for himself, which they try to say is the same with Jimmy Savile and Jeffrey Epstein and all the rest of it. It's not true. They're part of a global or worldwide. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry. Okay. Kidnapping girls for himself, that there was no network, that Jean-Michel Nihoul was innocent and Regina Louf was a liar. VIP paedophile mouthpiece, The Telegraph, supported that angle from the UK. Of course they did, because in many ways the UK is the capital of this, you know. In 1996, a massive 350,000 Belgian citizens, at least, I think it was more than that, protest marched against the VIP child trafficking operation. Belgian firefighters protested by turning their hoses on the Belgian parliamentary building. 1/3 of Belgians surnamed Dutroux legally changed their family name, yet all this achieved nothing. Well, kind of did. I thought the farmers also went past Parliament and sprayed slurry into it. It did change things a little, but not fast enough. Belgian sex trafficking victim Anneke Lucas came forward, and Anneke, I'd love to talk to you if you want to connect with me. I'd be honoured. In 2017, in the wake of Pedogate, Anneke's mother sold her into sex slavery at age 6 years. For the next 5.5 years, oh God. Sorry, trigger warning, guys. Some of this is hard to hear. For the next 5.5 years, she was raped 6 hours a week by up to 200 paedophiles, including royalty. I think you mean 6 hours a day, don't you, Fiona? Anneke Lucas was subjected to torture, child murder, and satanic ritual abuse. Clearly, it wasn't her that was murdered, but she would witness it. From age 6, she attended weekly late-night paedophile orgies held in mansions and castles, during which she was, quote, used for an S&M show, what do they call it, sadism and masochism, on a low stage, chained up with an iron dog collar and made to eat human feces, which is a fascination. Eating human feces and drinking urine, which people have been trying to make fashionable along the lines of Marina Abramovic spirit cooking. I know people that drink urine as a elixir of youth, and I'm just saying, I'm even brave enough to say to them, look, that's spirit cooking. That's not what God intended you to do with your urine, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah. Annika says she and the other trafficked children were, quote, made to commit violence against child victims. Yeah, so they'll feel guilty and complicit. So they felt too implicated to inform the police. That's a classic tactic. Think of Elisa and Gabriel describing how they alleged their father held their hand to murder babies in sacrifices so that they would feel complicit. Right, page 29. UK prosecutes fantasist, quote unquote, victims for whistleblowing. The UK's latest tactic to silence victims of government child trafficking is to prosecute them for reporting the crimes committed against them to the police. Their modus operandi involves the DPP charge the victim. The DPP is the Director of Public Prosecutions, charge the victim with perverting the course of justice, while the government-controlled media slander the victim as a fantasist, quote unquote, who fabricates witness testimony for the money. The UK government tried this on Ben Fellows, former UK child actor and Westminster sex trafficking victim. Ben Fellows said his agent, Sylvia Young, solicited him at age 14 years for sexual abuse by Tom Cruise. That's not quite accurate. She did send him to a casting party with Tom Cruise, but Ben's fellow child actor was selected to go into a room with Tom Cruise and came out brutally, violently sodomized and traumatized, after which his parents received a £10,000 car as hush money. So it says Fellows was subsequently targeted for false arrest and slander by the media, who described the victim as an inventive and sometimes persuasive fantasist. In 2015, the UK government, I know this because I was very involved in his court case, and he was found not guilty of trying to pervert the course of justice when he claimed that Kenneth Clarke MP, cousin to the Queen, Bilderberg, etc., he claimed that he had sexually molested him, but Ben had much more to tell in his disclosure videos online. I don't know how many of them are still there. But he was found not guilty, but the court did not see fit to then investigate the claims and allegations he made. They said it was a totally separate matter. Just because Ben was acquitted of trying to pervert the course of justice did not mean that Ken Clarke and others needed to be investigated. It's such a whitewash. The English law, the judiciary system is totally broken. Okay, so anyway, yeah. In 2015, the UK government unsuccessfully prosecuted Ben Fellows for perverting the course of justice for providing a 2012 police witness statement for Operation Fairbank. See, Ben, he goes by Zed Phoenix now, and he had another name before, and Brian Harvey's testimony casts some questions as to whether Ben has taken a payout or been groomed and, I don't know, partially silenced, but he goes by Zed Phoenix currently. Anyway, multiple victims who came forward and made police witness statements against elite UK pedophiles, including Edward Heath, were initially supported as, quote, credible and true. In 2016, Westminster victim Darren Thornhams used Twitter to warn of a cover-up operation involving A, fake victim being planted to discredit the genuine ones. Wow. And B, a cutout media company, Exaro News, gathering testimonies from victims who were subsequently falsely arrested and murdered. My God. Darren implicated Australia's 60 Minutes journalist Ross Coulthart in an elaborate media ruse. According to Darren's tweets, I'd love to know this Darren. I don't know if he's still active on Twitter. I know James Reeves is. According to Darren's tweets, and was Darren Carl Beach? I don't know. Police beat him, threatened him with false arrest. Whoops, I jumped a bit there, sorry. Oh gosh, 20. We were on 29. Sorry guys, I jumped a bit there. Right, let's just get back to this. I'm sorry about that. Right. No, we got that. Yeah, okay. According to Darren's tweets, police beat him, threatened him with false arrest, brackets for attending a 1992 rave at age 15 with 8 fellow trafficking victims, and threatened to raid and charge him for terror crimes, along with victim Kevin Allen. Wow. The brother of the missing victim, Martin Allen, whose family were also threatened. Wow. The UK media branded Darren a, quote, fantasist after, no, it was, Carl Beach was given a fake name of Nick. So I must find out who this fake name Darren was. But anyway, the UK media branded him a fantasist after police charged him in 2016 for making false allegations against VIP paedophiles. Police eventually dropped the charges, according to Darren's final Twitter post. Wow. Darren press statement, the 17th of November, 2017, coming up on 3 years. Quote, the false charge against me, which was downgraded from making hoax claims to wasting police time, has rightly been dropped. I have been subjected to a terrifying ordeal of being attacked, stalked, and threatened by individuals determined to get even with me for telling the truth about the sexual abuse I suffered as a child. That's so outrageous. The case has clearly shown serious misconduct by Suffolk police officers. I lived in Suffolk for 5 years. My ex-husband, my Disney husband, was from there, who have ignored complex issues surrounding harassment and intimidation of myself. The case was part of an attempt by police and the wider establishment to silence me. I refute claims that I invented the allegations of child abuse committed by high-profile offenders. On many occasions, the media have simply published lies as part of a campaign against me. Some media behavior has bordered on harassment and bullying of a CSA survivor. I was especially saddened and shocked to see certain people who claim to be CSA survivors of child sexual abuse on social media, as well as certain journalists, vilify me. The last 9 months since my arrest have been very difficult for me. It has led to my being on the verge of suicide, on more than one occasion. It is only the support of people very close to me that I did not ultimately kill myself. Darren's press statement inexplicably, wow, thanked the Exaro News journalist he criticised in numerous earlier tweets. Was Darren under duress? ? Yeah, I think I'm connected to that Exaro journalist online on Twitter, and they wanted me to testify with them. I contacted them briefly about a children's home in Suffolk called Four Elms, with several murders associated with it. There was so much abuse going on there. One children's home resident parents went there when they found out what had happened to their child. They went there and they murdered the 2 people that were running it. There were several other murders associated with it. And Exaro News wanted to take the story from me, but something didn't sit right with me with them. There's something just didn't sit right with me. Anyway, right, so we'll go on to the Tavistock PSYOP. I'll try to make these just like half-hour bite-sized pieces. Tavistock is huge, by the way. In 2019, after the UK government failed to prosecute high-profile victims, Ben Fellows and Darren Thornham, Darren, please reach out to me if you're still, I don't know, you might be so burned you might not ever go online again. They made an example of a convicted paedophile who named Prime Minister Edward Heath, plus the heads of MI5, MI6 and the Army in a police witness statement. This is Nick, this is Carl Beach. Nick was sentenced to 18 years prison. Now he's been given leave to appeal, not the sentence, just the length of it. A disproportionate sentence compared to the leniency granted to paedophiles for perverting the course of justice. Social media agents spread the discourse that this action against Nick was justified because he himself is a convicted paedophile. I don't think so, but look, I've spoken to an ex-policeman about this, and he said the Nick Carl Beach thing was a psyop because after Jimmy Savile, where the British government said victims come forward, and Bill Maloney was come forward, and all that, the police were so inundated and financially drained by thousands upon thousands of survivors coming forward that they created the Carl Beach scenario to actually stop victims coming forward. Now, that's just something that's been told to me by an ex-policeman. I don't have any proof of that. Okay, the Telegraph vilified Nick as a, quote, fantasist who fabricated his witness testimony to get compensation, as though by extension all victims of government child trafficking are fantasists. Was this the plant Darren Thornham warned of on Twitter, question mark. Nick was used to discredit and bury numerous witness testimonies against Prime Minister Edward Heath, including 6 different people who named Heath to police in SRA accusations. You'll see from the Rains list, there were like 1,500 lines of inquiry into Ted Heath. And Mike Veal whittled it down to 7 credible, very credible allegations, but 1,500 lines of inquiry. Okay, who named Heath to police in SRA accusations? Nick's prosecution was a psychological operation designed to sway public opinion, deter all other government child trafficking victims from making future police statements, and discredit the many Westminster VIP paedophiles reported to police 50 years before Nick's prosecution. Wow. This one successful prosecution does not erase the following 1969 and 1989 police investigations into the sex trafficking of government care children to Westminster paedophiles. It may be that I believe Nick Carl Beach, who was the stepson of the head of MI6, I believe much of his testimony of childhood abuse in elite paedophile rings, including to Dolphin Square. I believe much of it was true. Whether he was initially offered immunity to reel him in, whether he had, really drilled a hole into to be able to be a voyeur in the bathroom or downloaded child porn. I don't know if those things are true. If they are, that's horrible. But just like with Andrew Ash, but Andrew Ash is still free and protected. This is a very classic tactic to find a VIP survivor and entrap them and discredit them. So anyway, right, we'll carry on a little bit more. Page 31. So 1989, police investigation into Wales boys' home brothels. This is also huge. I know a lot of the survivors from all of this. So Scallywag magazine was published between 1991 and 1998. Issue 22 of 1994 contained an article, and this is Lord McAlpine and the Paedophile Ring by Angus James, which exposed the Brynellan community, a private company centred in Wrexham in Wales. I think Wrexham's in Wales, is it? Anyway, which operated 11 children's residential homes. The Brynellan organisation was a front, and this is true, for a massive international child sex trafficking and pornography business managed by scapegoat John Allen, who was eventually convicted of 33 counts of child rape against 19 children. And that was a drop in the ocean. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Allen prostituted foster children to VIPs who attended boy brothel houses located all over the UK, including London, Manchester, South Shields, Gloucestershire, Wrexham, Brighton, plus Bordeaux in France. Wow, that's interesting. Because that's the only, I have reported one of my abusers in Bordeaux in France, who is now quite a wealthy upper middle class businessman. I have reported it to Wiltshire Police, Avon and Somerset Police, who tell me they reported it to Interpol, but nobody ever got back to me. And that was Bordeaux in France. He also hired rent boys for members of the Wrexham Golf Club to rape. Allen also operated a child porn empire, including a branch in Amsterdam and a Wrexham film studio. Red flag, red flag. There's some people listening to this that will know what I'm talking about, where foster children were used to make pornography. John Allen's VIP clients included, I have to say allegedly, I'm reading somebody else's book, but, this is corroborated all over the internet, all amongst the survivor community. Lord Robert Alistair McAlpine, Treasurer, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's advisor, formally cautioned in 1965 by Strathclyde Police for committing a sexual offence against a child. He sued the media for outing him as a paedophile, even though he'd had a formal caution. How the hell did that lawsuit succeed? Gordon Anglesey, police superintendent and notable Freemason, he sued 2 national newspapers in 1994 for printing crimes he was eventually convicted for. In 2016, he died 6 weeks into a 12-year prison sentence for violently raping 2 boys in the 1980s. Lord Kenyon, North Wales Police Authority Chair. Wyn Roberts, MP for Conway, Minister for State at the Welsh Office. Adam Marr Jones, son of film critic Justice Jones. Sergeant David Morgan, they always have to have police involved. PC David Rogers. PC, which stands for Police Constable Peter Sharman. DC, which stands for Detective Constable Gary Probert. Michael Portillo, politician and dear friend of Minister for Children in Ireland, Roderick O'Gorman, and Ian Puddick. Peter Lilly, politician, and Lord David Steele, who I've outed somewhat on Twitter. His son, I adopted, I believe, Billy, made disclosures of satanic ritual abuse in his childhood, and then was persuaded to not go public with them, involving one Belinda Mackenzie. In 1989, Detective Superintendent Ackley collected over 1,500 witness statements during an internal police inquiry, yet his findings were buried. Wow. And key witnesses and investigators were physically assaulted. Alex Siddington, Welsh coordinator for the National Association of Young People in Care, was beaten and had chemicals sprayed into his eyes. Wow. Gordon Anglesey's rape victim and key witness, Stephen Mesham, was beaten twice. Oh my goodness. The local BBC journalist who investigated the case for 18 months was burgled in retaliation. I'll carry on just a bit more. I don't know which part of this reading to highlight. Wales, you know. Oh, God. 1969 police investigation into Rochdale boy home brothels. Lord David Steele MP. This is written in 2019, by the way. 1819. Recently admitted in the ICSA inquiry to burying child abuse allegations that publicly emerged against politician Sir Cyril Smith in a 1979 Private Eye magazine. In 1969, Lancashire police investigated Cyril Smith's sexual assault of young boys in Rochdale care homes. The inquiry ended in 1970. How many children could have been saved? If Jimmy Savile, Cyril Smith, all these paedophiles had been properly prosecuted with the first reports, hundreds of children would have been spared. Richard Kerr talks about that from King Cora. The inquiry ended in 1970 when prosecutors falsely concluded that they had insufficient evidence to prosecute Cyril Smith. What a whitewash. MI5 knew the Director of Public Prosecutions lied to journalists about their decision not to charge Cyril Smith, but did nothing. Come on, MI5. Come on, guys. Special branch. Come on, you guys. Speak up. Or forever hold your peace. You know, there's not much longer of a window for honesty. In Smile for the Camera, The Double Life of Cyril Smith of 2014, Rochdale MP Simon Danchuk claimed Cyril Smith was allowed to continue abusing children as young as 8 after 144 victims' complaints were submitted to authorities. This is not the extent of investigation into Westminster VIPs and UK children's homes being used as VIP brothels. I will mention one more high-profile case due to its international trafficking relevance. So I'll leave it there for now. I guess we'll feature Cyril Smith, monster. 144 victims' complaints and the DPP said insufficient evidence. What the hell? So next time we'll be starting with NAMBLA on page 32. Oh my God, I hope this is recording. Yeah. All right, guys, I'll put links in the description box. This is Fiona Barnett's book. I'll put the link to that free PDF. And she's also, there's a documentary, I think it's called Candy Girl, about her experiences as well. So God bless. And I don't know what to say. Pray. And please speak up, especially coppers and politicians. Simon Danchuk was later outed by a friend of mine, an ex-policeman, for sexting a 15-year-old or, you know, having his own sex addiction issues. But we've got to stop this. We've got to stop this, people, please, in Jesus' name. Check the links in the description.